Morning, Daryl. It's 4:16 in the morning West Coast time. It's the 7th of January, 2024. Yeah, barely awake and barely alive. We were JAN7. Roseman in California, still waiting for his coffee to fix. We had a reunion last year, a year before that, of students paying credence to a few of our old SWAS teachers, school within a school. When I was going to junior high in the last year, I got talked into going into a program in high school. Ma wasn't Ma wasn't thrilled about it. She kept telling me I wasn't ready for this thing. Why am I doing this? And maybe she was right. My grades weren't exactly all that great. Going through elementary to junior high, now I get into high school, and uh, according to Ma, I was needing the structure. I needed the structure. SWAS was too radical for her. SWAS was pre-college of sorts. They were getting students used to the idea of going into college, and this is the format, and trying to teach students at that particular level. I barely functioned at it. It gave too much freedom, and that's the thing Ma didn't want me to have, at least part of it anyway, because it wasn't structured enough. It wasn't hammering the education down my throat all the damn time. When you were a student going to school at times when my grandmother and my mother were going, it was every single day except for weekends. Weekends, Saturday and Sundays, you studied your homework. You did your homework. You probably played a little bit afterwards, but you study, study, study. College. College is a different environment altogether. 2 or 3 days, about hour and 50 or almost hour and a half, depending on the class. Study time, lecture, and the rest of the time you're doing independent study. You're doing independent study. You're doing the work till the next lecture. But it was shorter, intense in the college system. Now we were still dealing with LA Unified School District system, so that meant we still had maybe about 2 or 3 days a week of different college courses, but in the regular curriculum of scholastic education. Every single day. The program allowed kids to have both structure and rigid. The rigid to satisfy LA Unified School District's curriculum, but it gave us the freedom to do the independent study for other classes, which meant there had been times when you actually had a free period. Unheard of in the school systems. A free period? How dare you? That means you can do anything you want. How dare you? Just to think of Ma. Maybe she was right. But it was a new kind of freedom I learned. I was learning, and I had to hold my. I had to hold on. I was supposed to be a good student. I was supposed to study hard. I was supposed to, and I screwed up on this one. Yes, I think so. Looking back at it, I'm not quite sure. I mean, yeah, it gave me experience about college, but I don't think Ma understood it, and neither did I as much, about what college entailed. Because if I actually had used the program the way it should have been, maybe I would have been succeeding a hell of a lot more. Yeah, I regret a lot of things there. Yeah, Daryl, I do. In the program, I was learning science, different science courses, instead of just biology 101 or this 101, and it was lengthy, and it was, oh my God, a pain in the asses. And I was in the SWAS. They called us burnouts and losers over there too. They kept thinking we smoked too much. No, we just partied. We did keep the music down. We tried to keep things down. But they thought we were burnouts. Maybe we were. But there was no drug use at all. Guys were happy, joyful, and carefree. And some of them actually were flunking, but the rest of them were actually passing the classes because they were giving so much into it. And I should have been doing that, and I didn't. But I met some good friends in there. I met some good people in it I still associate with to this day. Because these guys they're cool. They weren't trying to be the coolest kids around. They didn't want to gather attention. They were just naturally goofy sometimes. There's this guy who kept calling Skins to this day. Hey man, this guy's a good friend. He was a good man. He still is a good man. I mean, he's going through a hell of a lot, and a little health issues here and there. He's lost his wife years back. A few years back, it still hurts him. He's got a new relationship right now. He's got it. The melodious sound of the coffee pot. Give me a second. Coffee comes. Okay, coffee. Okay, so school was school was just there. It wasn't anything of great importance. I kept thinking it was just another time. But while I was in SWAS, at least I enjoyed the company of some of the students over there, and I tried to study. I really did. But the grades weren't cutting it. There were also classes I actually had in that school that I really didn't like, and I still had to go through it anyway. One of the courses was dealing with a foreign language. The school curriculum was you had to learn a foreign language. You couldn't bypass it for anything. Everybody was getting into Spanish. Everybody talked Spanish because we had Spanish. Me, I wanted to be a little unique. I picked German. I don't know why. I mean, it was just I wanted to be not I didn't want to be typical. I wanted to be atypical. I want to be the geek. I want to be a nerd. I want to be different. Oh shit. Then there was a couple of burnouts I met in there. That for a long while they were still my friends, but they still also had problems too. But I lost touch with them a long time ago, so I don't know if they're still alive or not. I had to deal with about almost 2 years worth of German, but I screwed up one semester of it. I mean, first off, in seventh grade, forcing a die kid. Actually, what was the seventh grade? No, 10th grade. Right. Mr. Lingens, West Berliner at the time. He taught colloquial German. At the time, I struggled with trying to speak and understand colloquial German. I barely passed with a C on that one. And then there was an English teacher trying to teach us a little bit of colloquial, a little bit of formal German. Formal German is when you're reading the material, trying to get the nuances. There are certain teachers I liked and teachers I missed. And then there's other teachers I wish to God I'd never had in the first place. Bukowski, Polish teacher, math teacher. If you're going to be excelling in a math course, this guy would have been it, and he was still a pain in the ass to deal with according to the students. But when it came down for formal German, there were some things that I didn't want to deal with. And this guy, I purposely, eh, yeah, my computer's having a connection fit this morning. Anyway, this was one guy I skipped. He was a hard teacher to deal with. He was a very hard teacher to deal with. Material wise, and he wasn't exactly the greatest in my mind of teaching us. I mean, there were certain styles that I got used to. This style I wasn't. And he demanded. He demanded in his own way, and I didn't like it. So, my dumbass decision right there was, okay, I'm not going to take his class. I refuse. That brought my GPA down to a point where it was already screwed up with the SWAS program. There should have been programs in it that I should have been passing. Some things I did, but it wasn't bringing the grades up or up to a level where it was going to be passable for one grade to another, and I didn't do it. My mother saw the pattern. She kept telling me, get out of it. It's not working for you. But it was still my decision. At the end of the 11th grade, the first level of it. And I'm not talking about semester level. I'm talking about grade level. When you get to a certain grade, you're supposed to be going up because of the age, right? Not me, I was held back. The school system held me back because I wasn't succeeding according to them. Well, after screwing up one particular class, shit. So I got held back one year, and my mother said, no more SWAS. You're going to take regular curriculum. You're going to graduate out of high school, but you're not going back in an out program ever again. I screwed myself on that one, but maybe she was right that I needed that. But I guess in a way, I probably would needed that little bit of experience right there because the program I met some wonderful students, and I liked a few of the faculty. A few of them are still alive. In fact, the last year or year before, they actually had a reunion. I couldn't go. Transportation sucks out here from Roseman. I don't have my private transportation for that. Otherwise, I would go. I would have met all the older ones. I would have said I would have said something to the teachers. I didn't hate though. I liked my course. I mean, I liked my students. I liked the instructors in SWAS. Wasn't quite sure about the regular outside curriculum of LA Unified. I mean, I went to the high school of John F. Kennedy High School in Granada Hills. When you're on the 118 freeway going east to west, and it's well before they put up the damn sound barriers on those damn things, just to keep the traffic noise down to a minimum in the neighborhoods. Man, are they bitching gripes about that shit. A lot of changes happened when I was there in San Fernando Valley. I've been there from, oh God, what was it, 68 to 2005? Shit. So I'd seen a lot of changes in the San Fernando Valley, including putting up sound barriers right along the freeways just to keep the noise level down. Very noisy, those traffic, I'll tell you that much, especially when they get into gridlock. Truck noises, car noises, beeping, and God knows what else. And car accidents, oh God. So they had to put up the damn sound barrier so you couldn't see the school anymore. But without the barrier, you could see the school. Third level um, administrative and class building that they had right in front. This was a place to go to. It wasn't a place for like status quo. It was just a neighborhood high school that you go to. I went through the courses. I took computer programming. I took computer literacy. I wanted to know what the hell was the computers all about. And I learned how to program BASIC. Wasn't good at it, but I passed the class during those days. I wasn't hip on the graphics, but on the storytelling, that was a different story altogether. Storytelling adventure. The teacher's name was Kaufman. He was a computer geek. He was in the industry for a while. And in those days, he probably still was. He knew how to he knew how to do programming of different sorts, and he taught you how the computer was created, from how long ago to the current status during those days back in the 80s. We had the Apple IIe's, about two or three of them, one Trash 80, Radio Shack version of it, and then we had about what was it, 20 of the Atari 600 or Atari 800s, I think. Either 6 or 800, one of those two. All had to deal with a damn big ass floppy disk, big monster disk. Yeah, I used those things. Store your programs on them. Some of the students over there that I met in SWAS, but also in Kennedy, they're still my close friends to this day. They have their own lives. The guy I was trying to talk about, back in class, back in those days, we called him Ziggy. He was creative. He was funny. We'd call him a goofball. But he wasn't high on anything except on life. He had a life. He's still alive. And he still has a life. I love this man dearly. I really do. He had a life sometimes I was envious of. If we're going to be talking about school reunions, my friend, these were the people I wanted to be with. But you were talking about the MAGA, and there was one particular lady who fell right into Trump's influences because she was that conservative. My mother loved her, but there was a personality about her, about this one lady, that my mother liked, but I couldn't. She was controlling. Well, my mother was a control freak. My mother was bossy. She was a mother. So she saw this in my friend, and she liked her instantly. These days, I wouldn't like her as much. I love her, but turn maggot. I don't deal with maggots. I'm sorry, I don't. I don't deal with them. I'll deal with conservatives who aren't thinking about Donald Trump as God. Okay? I wouldn't. And if I happen to go into any recovery programs, I know out here, we've got half and half. Some of them still think that Trump is God, but they still want to hold on to their sobriety. They still want to hold on to their recovery. It's those kind of people that I avoid. Because to me, they're a threat to my own sobriety. I'm not dealing with it. Said before they had the reunion up in Woodland Hills, Calabasas area. And there was a home, I think. One of the older teachers had retired. A lot of them either passed on or just did their own thing after when they retired from the LA Unified. I had a chance to see all of them, all the former instructors, but I didn't. I saw the pictures. They posted it on Facebook. As a small clique, about 20 or 30 of them into this SWAS reunion. About that. Including some of the friends. Some of the friends I still have out here that I keep in contact with, who also been through the school system as I had. They have their own lives, but we keep in communications and such. But sometimes when they go to places, I feel envious because I don't have the transportation necessary. So, I mean, yeah, it would have been nice to see it, but I think I would have felt out of place. I would probably feel more in line with the recovery people. But here's the thing that would make it comfortable for me there, Daryl. My family, my brother. I think if I had gone to the reunion, I would have been wearing this one, this shirt, or a cleaner one anyway, because I would show them where I came from. As a kid, I wasn't very proud. As a kid, I didn't know any better. As a teenager, I sure as hell didn't know my asthma hot rock. But going to different places, including recovery, I had been with my brother. I was not comfortable with him until I actually admitted. And then when I already hit my bottom and they already had their hands stuck out. And I owe a lot. But even then, when you don't keep in contact with them, the thing is about recovery out here is you have to keep contact with your sponsors and people out there. Otherwise, they have a tendency of forgetting who the hell you are. It doesn't matter if they're still stuck on social media. They forget who the hell you are. Even if I keep posting on social media of what's going on in my life, I don't get a feedback from these guys ever again. Unless, of course, I keep going back over to the meetings just to say, hey, man, how you doing? So even with the recovery programs they've got going on and the reunions or any kind of gatherings that they would form, I'm out of the loop on that one. I'm out of the loop on that one, dude. When I turn into a griever, I turn into a pariah. I turned into an isolated, leprous person. Even if I'm struggling through my own damn sobriety, if I'm struggling through my own recovery, just trying to stay the hell away from the damn drink, and believe me, it's out there still. It's bad enough I'm dealing with an apartment complex that still smells of smoke. And I'm not talking about cigarette smoke either. The whole neighborhood I got for Roseman, I mean, since being out here, smelled of marijuana. Very few shops open now, but it still reeks sometimes. I'll wake up in the morning or late at night, and I'm smelling the drifting. I'm smelling wafting. You know, we've changed the state laws out here in California to allow this kind of shit going on. I hate it. I voted against it. I didn't like the smell. I sure as hell didn't like the influence. I don't like anything about marijuana. I don't care what the hell they do to it. It's still crap for me. I'm not dealing with. I'd seen how my brother changed from a human being into an addict and being the meanest bastard around. Meanest asshole you could ever have. I'm not dealing with that ever again. Or anybody else associated with the damn shit. I don't want to. I value my sobriety. I value my recovery more than I value someone else's high. And even if it means I had to stay away from union places or times like that, I'll do it. I haven't been to one reunion with my junior high, let alone high school, let alone elementary school. I'm not dealing with it. I was somewhat antisocial back then, but I sure as hell more so these days. I'm not proud of it, but I am one. I've been an isolator ever since I was a kid. I learned how to live and deal with isolation, deal with myself. Social media, I kept posting shit concerning about my recovery. Not so much, except on YouTube. But if I happen to go on Facebook and talk about my grieving, my mourning, I still get into those kind of spasms there. Crickets. Not even an emoticon. So I don't deal with it. I really don't deal with it, Daryl. I had memories of places where I've been to and dealt with other people. I mean, I could go on and on concerning about the Kennedy days, let alone college. But I am not going to do a full out hour on this shit. Maybe another video. But as for your decision, my friend, well, that's up to you. How much you're going to be willing to stomach those people. That's up to you whether or not you want to go over and see them with the bitching and griping. So let's do a part two, shall we?